Hello to all you beautiful, amazing people who continue to watch my videos and follow along with me on my journey. And just all the support I've gotten from people has just been so amazing. It is really, really uplifting. So right now I am in Chelsea, Iowa, staying at the Windigo Acres Farm, and I have to say I am in heaven. The other day I woke up to a peacock just knocking on my door. I will take that alarm clock any day. It might sound like a screaming child during the day, but I don't really care. I can deal with that. And then you open the door and there's just goats and horses and llamas just grazing and roaming free. I can let Grace run without a leash, not having to worry about her running away and not coming back. And not to mention, they had 7 little tiny baby goats that were born here last night while I was here. Well, they had 5 last night and then 2 today. So I got to hold these tiny little things. Oh my God, my heart is just melting. Those of you that know me know that I have always wanted a pig and a goat in my life. So my dreams are just coming true right now. Maybe Grace and I are supposed to be farm girls. I don't really know. All I know is that I am super happy right now, and that is all that matters. So before I get started, I just wanted to mention that all the myths that I've been talking about in my videos I get from this book that I had to read during my online yoga teaching training program that I did with the Alana Kavalya yoga method. So it's just called Myths of the Asanas for those of you who might want to look a little bit more into that. I know some of you might find that the myths are a little corny, but they all have a way of connecting to human life in some sort of way. So for me, reading this book was a really good way to self-reflect and dig deep, and it just kind of helped me grow. So if you want to look more into that, be my guest. Today I'm going to be discussing the 8-angle pose, which is also called astavakrasana. In the myth behind this pose, it speaks of astavakra, so asta meaning 8 and vakra meaning bent. So astavakra is a Vedic sage in Hinduism, and both of his parents were also Vedic students. So while Astavakra was in his mother's womb, he would twist and wince and turn in pain every time he heard his father mispronounce certain words while reciting the mantras of the Vedas. So one day he decided that he just couldn't take it anymore. So he corrected his father from his mother's womb. And well, his father was a little offended by this, so he placed a curse on his son. So when he was born crippled and bent in 8 different ways. When Astavakra was grown, he embarked on a difficult journey and to go see a philosophical discussion spoken by King Janaka, who is very knowledgeable in the Vedas. So it took him days of kind of trekking along and hobbling along with his walking stick to make it here, and he was immediately disappointed because when he entered the courtroom, the entire assembly just gawked and laughed at his appearance. So here he was thinking that he was going to be joining a room filled with like-minded yogis, and he was unpleasantly mistaken based on their reaction to his outward physical appearance. So in front of the king and in front of the courtroom, he let out this loud cry of laughter, and he referred to the entire courtroom as a bunch of shoemakers for their snobbish behavior and judging him solely on his physical, his outward appearance of his skin, and failing to see the supreme soul within. So the courtroom right away became embarrassed and they bowed their heads down, realizing the truth of his words. Now, we have all been guilty of doing this at some point in our life, judging by appearance, whether it be of others or your own self. It is very easy to allow your ego to take control and place so much focus on our outward appearance and forget about the true, beautiful, divine soul that lives within. We've all stressed about that pimple on our face, but you know that the more that you pick and dwell and stress on that pimple, the bigger that thing is going to get. So you're better off trying to change your perception and maybe give it a name and maybe be like, hey, Karen, I know that you are going to be a temporary guest on my face for a short while. We are not going to be friends, but we're going to have to live with each other. So just bear with me. And you know what? In a few days, a week, that thing's gone. Your face is brand new. But why does that even matter? That's not even something that is permanent, but we still stress about it. What is important is who we are on the inside versus how we are perceived by others based on our external physical appearance alone. The physical body is nothing but a temple in which the soul lives. It is who we are in our hearts underneath all those physical layers of skin. That is the most important. That is what matters the most. Now, I know that I am probably not alone when I say how terrible women, especially, can be towards one another. In my experience on this earth, I have witnessed how common it is for women to just tear each other apart. And why? To make your own self feel better? By being cruel and treating and speaking to or of another individual in a negative, poor manner is really just acknowledging your own insecurities and making them known to the rest of the world. By being unkind to others, you are really just being unkind to yourself. Now, I looked this up and it is actually a real thing, believe it or not. It is called gynophobia. And I kind of think that I have that. It is a fear of women. I'm not going to lie, I am petrified of women because of the way that I have been treated in my past. It kind of drives me a little crazy when people look at me and they're like, what do you have to be socially anxious about? And I'm like, you want to live one day in my shoes and you will understand. I mean, for example, this one day when I was in my hometown and I'm in the grocery store and I got my mask on. I'm just walking down the aisle. I'm pushing my little cart and I see this middle-aged woman in the middle of a conversation with another man, and she literally stops mid-conversation. She stops speaking to just look at me up and down, and she is looking at me as if I am like pole dancing in the middle of the store, and I'm like, you don't know my name, you don't know anything about me, so what's the problem? I am just trying to get my Cheerios and be on my merry way. So this shouldn't even be a thing, but it is. And I mean, after it really kind of blew my mind how, after my boyfriend passed, how differently people in this world started to treat me. People are actually more unkind to me at the hardest time in my life. One of the things that I found the most healing for me was going out and listening to music and just dancing. But I always held back because in my mind, I'm thinking if my presence alone, me just standing there, or me doing my awkward little knee bob over here in the corner, if I'm getting attacked for that, how would someone treat me if I were to actually just let go and dance freely and just be me? I'm like, that would start a war. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go hide in my little shell and I'm just not going to come out. But that is no way to grow. That is one of the reasons I wanted to do this trip, was because I was tired of hiding. I kind of like who I am inside and I want to show her. And people kept telling me, people are going to treat you the same as they treat you here. And that is very untrue, because especially the further south and the further west I go, the nicer people have been to me. You know, I have had a couple younger women who are like my waitress or someone checking me out at the gas station that just stopped and looked at me and said, you know, I just have to tell you how pretty you are or how nice your eyes are. And it just made me tear up and want to cry because I have not been treated with this kindness in so long. And when I was trying to get out there and get over my anxiety and overcome my grief, there were a couple nights where I went out and I had those girls give me that fake hug as they dumped their drink down my back. And everyone kept telling me, like, Kels, that's in your head. It's the energy that you're putting out, you know, like it's all in your head. It was just an accident. But when that happens 3 times in a night and on several different occasions, you start to question, like, this seems pretty intentional. And I find myself to be a kind person. I just like to spread love and kindness. But it's almost like the kinder I am, the meaner people are to me. And why is that? But I do have to kind of laugh because, you know, as I'm doing my little awkward knee bob over here, or I'm just walking on the street with my dog, and I have these people kind of looking at me like, what a bitch. He is just such a bitch. And in my head, I am like, eyes closed, like, be cool, Kels. Just be cool. I am that awkward, dorky little child that I was growing up still, and she's still living in there. So it's just funny how people perceive me from the outside, and I am totally different from what I'm experiencing within. Life is funny like that, isn't it? So that is why I kind of make it a point that every single time that I go out, whether it be to someone I know or a total stranger, especially those I am very empathetic and I tend to kind of feel energy. So if I feel someone that I'm crossing paths with that might be going through a rough time, that might seem a little off, I'm going to give them a compliment. But you have to mean it. You can't be Rachel Adams in Mean Girls and give that false compliment. You got to really mean it. And sometimes that one compliment can really change a person's day. You know, it can really brighten the day. That might be the one thing that they needed to keep pushing and keep moving through. So stop hating on each other and just try and spread some more love. Stop the hate. That is only making the world more difficult. By being nicer and kinder to people, you are only going to lighten the weight of your own world. Now, I know that it can be difficult to really believe that we are all actually one in the same underneath it all, because we all are different and unique in our own ways because of our own past life traumas and what we have experienced in life. But once we start to really dig deep and self reflect and start to shed those outer layers that have weighed us down and gotten heavier and heavier over the years since birth, and we rediscover that child within, that who we were before life happened to us, you will see that we are all actually equal as one. So in a way, Peter Pan kind of had it right. And Jay-Z actually. We need to live forever young. You know, as I'm looking back in my life, I looked back at that quiet, shy, little weird girl I was. And you know what? I actually kind of admire her, because looking back now, I was okay playing by myself. I loved myself. I was totally fine being alone. Everyone else thought I was weird, but you know, whatever. I don't really care, because that girl is slowly coming back out again, and I am loving her more and more every single day. Life is kind of almost like a board game. I'm kind of thinking maybe like Chutes and Ladders. I'd say Chutes and Ladders. If we listen to others and give in to all of our insecurities, we keep falling down those chutes. That's bringing us back towards the start of the game. That's just adding on to our layers. It's weighing us down. It's making us heavier. But when we listen to our own intuition and find that child within and start climbing those ladders, that is going to bring us to the finish line of the game of really loving yourself, loving that child who we are within our hearts, the child that we were born into this world as. So as you go about this world, what you give to this world, you make your own reality. You give, what you give, you shall receive. You cannot, sounds a little corny, but you cannot find dharma without the karma. Life is all about self-compassion. Love yourself, love others. The only way to love yourself is by giving love to the rest of the world. So make it a point to give that compliment to a stranger. Every person that you cross paths with in life, let them know what makes them beautiful on the inside and the outside, so we can try and create a better world for everybody. Strive to find and be that child within, so we can make this world a better place together as one. So as we go into this pose, I wouldn't suggest everybody try this. It does look much more complicated than it actually is, but once you kind of find that balance and you're using the right muscles, you will feel your legs kind of lift as they were like light as a feather. So you want to start, so I usually like to have my leg kind of hooked in like this, and you're going to take your other leg and you're going to try and get it right up towards the top of your shoulder. And you want to try and hook your knee. You want to try and squeeze here to prevent your leg from falling off the arm. So you're going to bring that leg up, squeeze the knee, and you want to have a wide base. As we're planting our hands into the ground, you want to spread the fingers, and you don't want to dig the fingertips in, because that's going to make us lose balance. You really want to push through the heel of the palm. That's going to create a very sturdy base. So again, you're going to hook that leg over, place the right hand by the right hip, left hand by the left hip, and we're going to hook the left ankle over the right, and you want to try and extend your toes. So we're going to be pushing out with the balls of the feet. So we're going to slowly lean onto our hands, lift the chest. You want to keep the chest lifted so we're not falling forward. Bend the elbows, try and straighten the legs. So we're going to squeeze the knees, squeeze the ankles. We're going to push the balls of the feet all the way out, shoulders back and down, and you can either look forward, look to the side, and voila, light as a feather. Bring your hands to prayer by the heart. Namaste.